Welcome to Kidmissing TV. This is the case of David John Louison. One minute, he was playing with a 4-year-old friend less than 200 yards from his home. The next, he was gone. Okay, David was... I need to get his age. Hold on. Where did I put the list for September? Isn't that funny? Usually I write everything right at the top of my write-up, but for some reason I didn't. Okay, he was 5 years old. He was from Brockton, Massachusetts. But it would be hours before people realized the child had been abducted, and through word of mouth, a massive search was launched. Things have changed in how police and the public handle cases of missing children since the June 18, 1974 disappearance of the 5-year-old boy. His body was found 6 years later, stuffed in a trunk in the basement of a Highland Street tenement. For those of you who don't know what a tenement is, it's a large apartment building. Wayne W. Chapman was once charged in this case. He is a notorious child serial rapist and killer from Massachusetts. He was found guilty in 1977 for raping 2 boys from Lawrence, served 30 years in prison, and then another 11 committed after the state deemed him as sexually dangerous. We've talked about that. They would send him to Bridgewater State Hospital, which was the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Hospital for the criminally insane. But he could be released from custody because they decided he was no longer sexually dangerous. That's absurd. Although he was never convicted, Chapman was charged in the murder of 5-year-old David Louison of Brockton. Boy was praying at a friend's house on West Elm Street. They were moving buckets of sand from one spot to another across the street. A couple minutes later, the friend remembered catching a glimpse of Louison's shoes in the tree line. David Louison then disappeared and was never seen alive again. Chapman was one of several suspects, actually. Chapman told police he was in the city in 1974 and lured a boy into the woods, but that he left the child alive at a cemetery. 2 years later, in September 1976, Chapman was formally charged, despite his body not having been located. The charges were dropped 2 years later when a Plymouth County grand jury failed to come up with an indictment. There wasn't enough evidence. It wasn't until 1980 that Louison's body was found in the basement of 47 Highland Street. The boy was curled up in a steamer trunk, wearing a white jersey with the number 16 on it. No one has ever been charged. Chapman is also the suspect in the disappearance of Angelo Andy Puglisi, age 10, from Lawrence, Massachusetts. He disappeared from the same place where the 2 little boys were raped. Governor Charlie Baker filed a brief in support of the appeal to the full Supreme Judicial Court He has said he will file new legislation to significantly expand the penalties associated with child abuse and change the way the process works. The Plymouth District Attorney, spokeswoman Beth Stone, and I believe the District Attorney is Murphy, said, "We do expect Chapman to be released for now." She's urging Governor Baker, but Murphy said that isn't enough. Going only to the legislator will not protect children from Wayne Chapman, because any new law will only affect future cases. She said the governor should not turn his back on Wayne Chapman's victims. He should join us in this fight. Win or lose, the governor should stand up for children. David has returned to us. He is at home. He is at rest. End quote. Oh no, that was a different quote. That was from Rabbi Werb of Temple Beth and Emmanuel. It was found in a steamer trunk, curled up. His remains were sent to Walter Reed Army Hospital for tests to determine the cause of death, and as of that, it was still waiting. More than 500 friends, officials, and members of the Brockton Bar Association crowded the temple during the service. The honorary pallbearers were policemen. Even the chief of police, James Cody, came to the funeral. Rabbi Werb said, "Each of us, all of us gathered here, in some special way, share the pain and pathos of this moment. When he, David, first disappeared, so many of you gave yourselves to help find him. You offered your assistance then and now. The Louison family is grateful. This help counterbalances, assuages the heinous act of one demented individual," the rabbi said. He termed David, quote, "a most intelligent boy with tremendous creative capacity and potential. He loved life. He had a great sense of humor, a wonderful smile, and an infectious laugh. He loved his family, and they in turn loved him very dearly. That's what makes this ordeal so poignant, so difficult, especially today." The rabbi said the family has established the David Louison Foundation to lend a helping hand to those in need, to allow other David Louisons in this community to achieve the full potential he was denied. He referred to the foundation as a living memorial to aid others. For 5 3/4 years, we have been living with illusions of David. He was no more. God took him. He seemed to have disappeared into thin air without a trace. And now David has returned to us. He is at home. He is at rest. End quote. An escort of 17 police cruisers with their blue dome lights flashing led the way to the cemetery. Aww. Okay, these are several other missing cases in that part of Massachusetts. I mean, some of them are a distance away, like Taj Narbonne from Leominster. Several other cases from the 70s and early 80s as well. 12-year-old Michael Gorman in Gloucester, That's a long ways away. 10-year-old Lee Francis Savoy from Revere. 10-year-old Angelo Andy Puglisi. 4-year-old Anthony Amato? No, it's Andy Amato. It's Andrew Amato, but disappeared. James Rogers from the town of Hanson. Then in 1992, the remains of an unidentified white male believed to be under the age of 20 was found in a wooded area off Route 95 in the town of Newburyport. Saying I have insufficient storage, but we're just talking about the Newburyport John Doe and Nathaniel Barjona, who's definitely a good suspect. If you have any information, please call the Brockton Police Department. Thank you so much. God bless you, and I'll see you after. Please subscribe, guys. Bye-bye.